in January 2011, a man named that was a amplifier for Free Talk Live, my radio program that I do. And an amplifier is a person who's joined our little Mouseketeer club. You know, they give $5 a month, they get some perks for the show, and they're part of the club. This guy wrote me an email in January 2011 and said that he'd like to meet and maybe have lunch in my hometown, Keene, New Hampshire. I said, and he wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I said, sure, I want to know about Bitcoins. Apparently I had some at that point, and it's like somebody had sent them to me, but I didn't really know anything about them, and they were kind of in some wallet someplace on the internet. But I'm like, sure, I want to know about them. So he came up, and we had lunch with Gavin Andresen, who's currently the head developer of the Bitcoin project, and or whatever they call it, I don't know, Bitcoin QT. And we had lunch with him at a Thai restaurant, and actually I picked up his tab, and he paid me back in Bitcoins when he got home. So he sent me the Bitcoins, and they were worth 25 cents at the time. And I guess if he had a $9 tab, we're talking about 36 Bitcoins, which are worth getting on up to about $4,000 right now. So it was a very profitable lunch for me, and I'm glad that Gavin came up. But so we learned about Bitcoins that day. He talked about them. We were a little skeptical. We were like, well, there's been a lot of alternative currency ideas floated about in the libertarian community before, but we're interested. So we talked about them on the air, and I think it was that night, and it might have been the night after. I'm not 100% sure. We talked about them on air, and of course, our audience is depending on the night of the week, it can be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. One person who is also an advertiser on the show was listening that night, and his name's Roger Ver. And he's known in Bitcoin circles as Bitcoin Jesus because, in the last few years, he's gone around, he's handed out Bitcoins to people. It's like, send me an email, I'll give you a free Bitcoin, back when they were worth $2. And so he gave out Bitcoins. He's financed a few different Bitcoin projects. I know that was involved at one point with bitinstant.com and blockchain.info. And recently he did an email from the offices of MT Gox talking about how he was confident in their solvency and that kind of thing. And Roger is an amplifier of Free Talk Live, and he's an advertiser of Free Talk Live, and he heard about Bitcoins that evening and got very excited. He believes that Bitcoins are a project, and I do too, that can help free the world, that it disempowers organizations, governmental organizations from waging wars that they don't have to pay for. And, instead of mortgaging our grandchildren's future for their wars and never having to pay for it themselves, they would actually have to fund the wars themselves. And it's so I'm excited about Bitcoins for those reasons, a variety of reasons, just the increase in human freedom. And Roger was too. He wanted to begin paying his advertising in Bitcoins. And that's where the rubber really met the road for Free Talk Live. This is a really great idea, this whole Bitcoin thing, but do we want to give up thousands of dollars a month in advertising for these imaginary little bits and bytes on the internet? I mean, right now, it's an easy choice to sit here and say, sure, I can exchange Bitcoins for cash anytime I want to. But back then, we're talking 2011 here, it was an entirely different kind of leap of faith. So this is a friend of mine. Roger Ver is a friend of mine. He's a supporter of the show and a customer. So I wanted very badly to do what my customer wants, and we began to take some of our advertising from him in Bitcoins, and some continue to take in US dollars. And it wasn't too long after that, a few to several months after that, that we went to all Bitcoins for his advertising. And now we probably receive between a third and a half of our advertising dollars, and it's not just Roger by any stretch, in Bitcoins. We did the Bitcoin 2013 conference out in San Jose, and it was a delightful experience. We've had several Bitcoin customers, and including Seals with Clubs.eu, and it's really working out for us. So we take a lot of advertising in Bitcoins.